what are some of the red flags then that both men and women can look out for in the opposite sex that can show them this person isn't whole and you know, potentially stop a bad relationship in the first place? I presume if you walk in, and from what you've just said, and you walk in and their place is a mess, it shows you that their headspace is a mess, right?
Yeah.
And I presume that if their body's in a mess, then presumptively your mind's in a mess too.
Mm-hmm.
What other things should people look out for?
I think what is their decision making in general, and this involves everything. What kind of decisions they make with their money, with their time, with who they have sex with everything they do. You look at their decision making. Now, if their decision making is responsible, it's sensible, it wants the best for them, and it helps them achieve their potential, super high self-esteem. But if their decision making is so chaotic, or it doesn't add up, like 1 minute they're so good at business, but then they choose the most toxic partner in the world, or they're so good in their relationship, but then they gamble on the side. It's like there's something in your decision making that tells me about your traumas. So let's lean into that and have a look at your own decision making in your life and think, okay, I'm so disciplined when it comes to food. I'm so good when it comes to money. But when it comes to relationships, I just seem to make the worst decisions. Why is that? Or it might be the opposite. It's like, I'm so good at relationships. I'm so good at all of these things. But when it comes to business, I don't know. I make stupid decisions. Well, your decisions tell me where your traumas are.
When you want to ascertain more in depth on that, when you want to get really ingrained in, like, okay, now I've accepted that I've got this trauma, Sadia, right? So I've accepted I've got this trauma. I know there's a trauma there. How can I use psychology on myself to understand myself more and get in there without having to go see anyone? Or is that not possible?
You don't have to go see anyone. It doesn't necessarily have to happen. You can just, educate yourself online and stuff. But here's the problem. What the problem is, when people have traumas, or when their life is a bit of a catastrophe, the first thing they do is try and diagnose their partner. They will look on Google and say, signs my ex was a narcissist. And I get this all the time. I'll get on the phone call with a client. I just wanted to speak to you because my ex is a sociopathic narcissist. Pointless session.
Wow.
Pointless session.
I've literally just had flashbacks. I was dating this girl, and in the early days of this podcast, I was dating this girl, and I'd be having this brilliant day, and then she'd ring me up, and it just felt like she was just trying to start a fucking war with me, starting an argument to cause this drama in my life. And I'm like, it's just like out of nowhere. Like 2 minutes ago, great. Like now there's this big world war starting.
She was a bit broken.
Yeah, she had. I think there was trauma in relation to her father growing up.
So anytime there was separation, she would get anxious or start a fight.
Yeah, yeah, and very beautiful, very good looking. Her mum and dad were still together, but because she was traumatized by her dad had hit her mum.
Okay.
Right. So there's trauma there, and she used to start the most randomest arguments with me.
What that is like when people are traumatized, what they do is they fight with their partner to test how much they will fight for them back. So really, when women are fighting like that, they don't actually want to fight. They want to test your level of love and attachment to them. So what may have been happening is you might have been busy in your podcast. You might have been sat at home. Maybe she saw that you liked a picture of a girl. Maybe she saw something that triggered her. She's like, let me start a fight. And I'll start a fight, threaten to leave him. And if he begs me, then I feel good again. I can relax. But if he doesn't beg me, then I know he's a prick. It's a test.
I knew it
and
was.
There's no way to win this test, by the way. As a man, there's no way to win.
I knew it was a test.
Yeah.
I knew it was a test. I didn't understand the psychological reasoning behind the test.
The psychological reason would be she's been triggered into thinking that at some point you're going to abandon her. So she wants to abandon you before you can get there first and test your response.
On a random Wednesday, that's going
on a random Monday morning. I would do it before 7 a.m. sometimes.
Do you find the cycle of like the moon and stuff like that affects women on a psychological level as well?
I can't comment on things I don't know enough about. So unfortunately, I don't know anything about astrology.
Because I was speaking to my friend who's a nurse who works in a hospital, and she said that there's some crazy stuff that happens around these full moons.
I'm sure it does. You know, religious reasons, we don't actually follow astrology too much. So I've never had my hand read. I don't know too much. I know I'm a Taurus. I'm very much a Taurus. I know that. But I don't know too much about it. So I can't comment,
I respect that. I respect that. So what are some of the key learnings that you've learned in the last 12 months that you previously, even in your psychological career, you hadn't even discovered them?
One thing I really have found is how many women cheat on men, and how many men accept the unacceptable when it comes to women. And I was explaining this to my friends, I have a bunch of really beautiful, wonderful friends, male, female, everything. And I think I never realized that we are a certain type of a subcategory. I thought everybody was like us. I thought everybody doesn't tolerate nonsense, and I thought everybody's like that, but I didn't realize that there's levels to it. And there's people out there, there's men out there that accept the unacceptable when it comes to women. And I always knew women do that. I always knew that, okay, women have a bad boy phase, or women have guys that may leave them on red. I was aware of that because you always hear about it on social media. Men ain't shit, or men are trash. I always knew that men are naughty. And the type of men I know, okay, I'm sure you're up to nonsense. I never knew how bad it is for men when it comes to dating. It's impossible for them to find a loyal girl these days, but they accept the unacceptable. The men I'm around don't accept the unacceptable. So I know, and I always knew, if I did a certain behavior, if I did something like this, the type of man I want would never accept it. But there are men out there that will allow a woman to cheat again and again, be promiscuous, go out, disrespect him, and he'll still beg her for attention. I didn't know that existed until I started doing social media stuff.
So where are you seeing this more prevalent? Is it more of a
younger generation?
Yeah, between what ages?
I would say between 18 to 30.
So anyone 18 to 30 is practically now got no hope of finding a woman. Then in essence,
yeah,
when you break.
No, I'm joking. No, it's not that they have no hope of finding a woman. They have no boundaries. What's happened is they've grown up on porn. This is I know I bring everything down to porn, and you can really tell I'm an advocate against pornography.
For religious reasons, I can't talk about porn.
Do you know what it is? I think if I had one goal in life with this whole social media thing, it would be to remove the obsession with pornography because of what it does to children. Yeah, and everything is about children. So what happens is the 18 to 30-year-old man grew up on pornography, whereas a guy a bit older, maybe in his 30s, what happened is, of course he watched porn. I'm not naive, but there was an element of like, shit, dad's coming home, can't watch porn right now, or mom's going to find my magazines, or oh my god, how do I get that top shelf magazine? It's so embarrassing, the guy knows my dad, I can't buy it. There was so much like when it comes to watching porn, whereas now headphones in, bedtime, pornography, children, 11 years old, 12 years old, children. So what happens is their brain is being sculpted into thinking that women are just for sexual purposes, and they are hypersexual, and this is normal. So when they meet a woman who is engaging in so much promiscuous behavior, either online, offline, in person, whatever, they don't get the same triggers. They don't think, whoa, she's probably not going to be loyal. They think this is how women come. So they accept the unacceptable when it comes to relationships. So
much in that you can unpack, like I'm
good, aren't I?
Honestly, like you've literally broke it down in such a way that it's so true, isn't it? When you look at society and how society's moved over the last few years, even like the dominance of like the mobile phone and everything like that. Everyone's stuck to it. Everyone's involved in it. Even on social media now, like we're all somewhat addicted to dopamine hits.